at this waterhole that it is fuller than it was and has been over the last little while. And yesterday we had massive tuskers here. There were quite a number of them, and it was a fantastic day at the waterhole. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Please don't. This is a live and interactive experience, so we'd love for you to jump on board with us and send us through your questions and your comments. You can do that by going on the WildEarth website and registering. What do you want to chat about? Well, we've had all sorts of different discussions, and yesterday was a lot around birds. We had a couple of quizzes, and then we were chatting about all the animals that came down. We saw some predators drinking yesterday. That was in Maratani in the Pilanesberg National Park, and there was a young male lion with some females that came for a drink, and then off they went and sort of relaxed a bit in the shade. Now, it was rather overcast yesterday. Today looks like it's a little bit clearer, and just off there in the distance you can see the Kilimanjaro mountain, which is the largest mountain in Africa. So what a view it is. So having said that, a little bit clearer here, so we've got a bit of a better view, and it's probably going to be a bit hotter as well. So the chance of predators coming down to drink here is a little bit diminished. However, having said that, let's go and have a look what the weather's going to be like across all the different locations. So as we can see there, it was quite a lot cooler yesterday, and today looks like it's going to be a lovely hot spring day. We're heading into spring, so this is the more normalized weather, I would say, around this time. So it does bode well for having lots of animals coming down to drink, as you would expect them to be getting a bit more thirsty when it gets a bit hotter like it is today. Nice to have a full dazzle of zebras. Keep an eye out for one with half a tail. We have seen him a couple of times, a stallion that's had the end of his tail bitten off, probably by another stallion. We've seen him a couple of times. I don't see him here now, but who knows? Maybe we'll see him somewhere in between all of these stripes. And I'm at least glad that these animals are getting a drink, as the elephants yesterday were dominating. And we have seen the zebra get together. They are also able to push the elephants out, but not when there's like massive tuskers about. So nice for them at least to have the waterhole to themselves. And you can see nicely filled up there. I would imagine that the lodge has just topped up this water, and a lot of viewers were concerned about the dropping level. So there you are. And morning to Anna Marie, lovely to have you on board once again. And yeah, well, this waterhole does really produce, and it was just absolutely amazing with those huge tusks. I do think that we've finally seen 1 ton, unless I'm told differently. I think that that was the famous 1 ton elephant. He had 2 massive tusks, almost touching the ground, but he was joined by a number of other tuskers as well. So nice to see close-ups on the fringe-eared oryx as well as these zebra. Yesterday we had some lovely close-ups of the elephants when they were standing around, just milling about here and seemingly having lots of discussions, etc. Now, which birds are these? These little doves that are coming in here. They've got the spots on their backs. Is it a tambourine dove or is it an emerald spotted wood dove? There's a few of them that have been coming in there. We've also had some amazing birding sightings here. We had the African hawk eagle having a bath. We've also had a gymnogene, or the African harrier hawk, that was coming in. Now, what little birdie do we have there? Quite difficult to see. Is it a swallow or a martin? See, also keeping its head down as it drinks, so that indicates that it does have a gullet. It's able to drink and swallow. But the detail is a little bit difficult to see. This is a tiny little bird, looks like black back with potentially a white underbelly. Oh, we've got one of the finches, I think. Red-throated. These are very interesting birds here. And obviously, I'm just going to check out these very indicative colors here. I'm not too familiar with all the birds in Kenya, so I'm going to do a little bit of research. Most of my birding has been in southern Africa, so it's lovely to see new species. I think this is a new one for me. I'm going to check out which one that was.
Are you looking to take your bond with the wild to the next level? Download our app and access in-depth chats with our naturalists and special guests. Connect and converse in real time on our Ask Me Anythings, fireside chats, hangouts, and town halls. WeChat, available on the WildEarth app. WildEarth, we are Safari.
Just having a nice close look at the edges of this waterhole because these little birds are flitting in and out, coming for their morning drink before they probably go off and forage. Probably got dry throats from all the calling this morning. We're heading into the breeding season. Everybody's pairing up and starting their nests and what have you, unless you're like the cutthroat finch, which nests in other birds' constructions. And it's always quite difficult to get a nice close-up of the birds. We find this in general. It's a little bit easier with these remote cameras because they don't see us with a vehicle or on foot. But normally, as soon as you zoom in, they fly off. It looks like a ring-necked dove on the left. Was. So this is the fullest I've seen this waterhole over the last couple of months that I've been watching it. I think they probably let it drop the levels and then fill it up. I'm pretty sure we'll have the elephants coming through here at some stage. It looks like a spider wasp that just pulled in there. But anyway, nice to start off here at Old Donyo, right near to Kilimanjaro. For now, we're going to switch over on place because we do have quite a number of different spots that we can go to. So I think for the time being, we'll head to the Pilanesberg National Park and African KwaMaratani. Well, we're continuing on with the birding theme. What do we have here? This looks like a sacred ibis. Seems like we have quite a lot of birding opportunities here at KwaMaratani. It's quite thick bush near to this waterhole, so there's the potential for all sorts of different birds. Now you may wonder why it's called a sacred ibis. Ooh, and if you look off just on the bottom right, it looks like a tree squirrel just making his way through there. Now the ancient Egyptians venerated the African ibis in particular, mummified and sacrificed it in the name of Thoth, a recognizable face in the Egyptian pantheon. As the central deity of writing and wisdom, Thoth carried the image of an ibis from the shoulders up, never featured without a long bill and rounded head. And initially they did believe that there was, I can't remember exactly where they thought that Bilharzia came from, but I think the story goes that the pharaohs eventually realized that it was the sacred ibis that was eating the snails, which helped to limit the spread of Bilharzia. And so they stopped people from killing them and eating them and made them sacred as well. Now, I always like looking into folklore, And a bit of folklore about the ibis. As the clouds become dark and a hurricane approaches, folklore maintains that other birds look to the ibis for leadership. The ibis uses its instinct to detect danger, and it's the last sign of wildlife to take shelter before a hurricane hits, giving warning that danger is imminent. Around urban surroundings, you often find ibis around rubbish tips, etc., and they often look scraggly like this and quite dirty. So, yeah, the Egyptians and the Greeks and so on would have held them sacred, and hence where the name comes from. But yeah, they're quite a dirty bird, I would say. When we have our rubbish days here where I am in Port Alfred, and everybody puts their rubbish out on their front driveway, the sacred ibis, they're quite a nuisance because they come through and with that long probing bill, they open up all the rubbish bags and spread the rubbish around the road, and it can be quite windy as well, so it can become quite a mess. They're also quite a lot bigger than the hardy-dar ibis, and their bill's quite a lot longer as well. They don't have the same sort of booming call that hardy-dars have. It's more of a sort of squeak, a squeaky sound. So Lorraine, I like that you're enjoying this waterhole. Yeah, it's given us quite a number of different species here of birds. And yesterday, right at this spot, this is where we had that young male lion that came for a drink with, accompanied by a few females. And off they went up that path, straight that we're looking at now. And here we got some Egyptian geese with their little chicks, who looks like are still doing pretty well. How many do we have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think it could be 6. And I think that's how many we saw the other day. Paired up with a couple of blacksmith lapwing. You can hear in the background as well, we saw them yesterday, the Indian miners. Quite a particular call.
Not everyone gets excited to hear a leopard chuff, spot a pangolin, or see a real impala rut. But if you are wild about the wild, you can become part of a community of like-minded nature lovers and share authentic wildlife experiences with the world. Join the Explorers Club and you will also enjoy the many benefits that come with it too. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
All these youngsters getting through the very important business of preening and feather maintenance. So our mission here at WildEarth is to connect the world with nature. And if you'd like to help us in our quest, you can go onto the WildEarth website and click donate. So the adult there is just catching a little bit of a nap, but will be keeping its wits about it because these little goslings would fall prey to predators very easily. So if they pick up the predator or something or any danger that's coming in, whether that's a caracal or a jackal or even a monitor lizard or anything like that, they'll immediately start making a racket and probably head straight for the water. And then the adults, they often put their wings out, making themselves look bigger, and they make an almighty noise, and then can even go to attack whatever is coming in as a potential threat to the babies. But they will normally then just head out on the water as their safe zone. Okay, so nice little birding spot here as per usual. So I'm sure we'll come back here a little bit later. Looks like a brown-hooded kingfisher that's just on the branch there overlooking the water. But let's keep on going and we'll switch of place. This time let's go to African Naledi Dam. Now this is in the Olifants West Reserve in the Greater Kruger National Park. And who do we have here? Yesterday we had spurfowl, but with a red Zorro type mask on their face, and that was Swainson's spurfowl. Which one are these? These ones don't have that red eye. So I would say Natal spurfowl. What do you reckon? It's easy once they call, and they do make an almighty racket. The Swainson spurfowl does more of a crack, crack, where these are more of a, not so rhythmic. It's just quack, 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 quack. So, and we often say that these are the worst birds at 5 in the morning if they're next to your tent making a racket and you want to sleep in. Villains. Yeah, it is a lovely little family of birds. I think it's probably part and parcel of the same family. So it's probably siblings with a couple of adults, but they're obviously almost into their adulthood. They're all having a drink off there on the right, and the one on the left looks like it's just foraging for anything, or maybe going to do a bit of a dust bathe. Is that what it's doing? If you look closely on their legs as they walk around, you can see that spur that gives them their name and the group and the family, obviously, the spur fowls. It's all about that little spur above the toes on the back of their feet. Louise, yeah, I'm sure just as you are that they're very cute babies. It looks like they've grown up a little bit now, but they just like those Egyptian geese goslings, they'll be very fluffy and cute and tiny actually when they are first hatched. And this is going to be a beautiful time of the year for us. We're going to see lots more birds, I would say, around the waterholes and lots of little chicks in the not too distant future. Now, that's one of the cuckoos calling in the background. I'm just racking my brain. I've forgotten which one it is. Can you hear that? It's one of the cuckoos, I'm sure. So lots of busyness here. I think they are definitely trying to do a bit of a dust bathe there. Just opening up the soil and getting all that debris out the way and then collecting some of the dirt, trying to get it into their breast feathers. There could even be some ants there that they may be doing a bit of anting, but I think it's more to do with just dust bathing. But if we see some insects crawling around on them, then that would be what they're doing. And this they very often do because the ants will then go onto them as they get irritated, and then they release formic acid, which I think is a real pleasurable feeling when it gets down to the skin on the birds. And it does assist as well in getting rid of some of their excess preen oil. Doesn't seem like there's enough space for all of them there, but they seem to be squashing themselves in. This is quite comical. Now, Fiona D, yeah, they are quite like chickens, aren't they? They do have very similar habits, and they do forage in a similar manner. They're a little bit smaller than chickens. Well, it depends on what species. So, them and guinea fowl, all the franklins, the spur fowl, they have this kind of similar behavior. There's the one that's not quite enjoying this scrum in the dirt. Looks like he's gone through maybe for a drink. They really are getting stuck in. This is fascinating. Righty, so what a wonderful birding start to the day. These guys are really enjoying this little dust bath. But I think it's time for us to shift on again. I think we'll head back to Kenya and Africam Old Donyo. Whereas, surprise, surprise, we've got a couple of big elephant bulls once more. But none of the big tuskers that we saw yesterday just yet. Hopefully they'll come through a bit later. But we can't complain. Whenever there's elephants here, it's absolutely amazing. I don't actually think that I've seen any breeding herds or youngsters here. It's only been bulls. Unless I'm mistaken, I don't think I've seen anything but bulls. We see it here as well as at most of the other locations. I think Jamala in particular, where the elephants, they do spend a lot of time at the water. Okokuyo as well, and here at Oldonyo, where I think it's really quite a meeting point and a conversation area for the elephants. And when they meet up, they do spend quite a bit of time chatting, discussing things, a bit of social interaction. So it's always wonderful to watch.
Discover the wonders of the wild with Safari Snaps, Africam's fun community game. While enjoying the live streams, simply tag the animal you spot. Each tag earns you points based on the rarity of the species. The rarer, the more points you score. Your profile and the Safari Snaps leaderboard will keep track of your impressive tagging skills. Join us on Safari Snaps and let's celebrate the wonders of African wildlife together.
So yeah, whether it was fighting with another bull and he's got a bit of an injury, or if he's injured it while moving through the bush or pushing a tree over, you never do know why the cartilage would have been damaged in the ear and then resulting in it being floppy like that. Or maybe he's gotten himself a bit of a wound that has become infected and it's just reflected in that floppiness of the cartilage. And that's why it hangs forward like that. Mandy asking, what is the rarest animal that we've seen at these water holes? And Mandy, I would assume that you are from or in Tasmania, in Australia. Lovely to have you on board with us. Now, I'm just trying to think, what is the rarest animal that we've seen? Well, the fringe-eared oryx, although we've seen quite a few of them, they are endangered, and so you would say that they are rare, and you don't see them in anywhere else in the world except here in East Africa. So that is one of them. That little cutthroat finch that we saw earlier, that's, for me, one of the rarest animals that I've seen. It's the first time, so I would consider that part of that list, although they're probably quite common in these parts. And just trying to think what else. We have, when we were still doing Escape to Nature, we saw honey badgers. That was at the Djuma Dam Camp in the Sabi Sands of the Greater Kruger National Park, digging for sand frogs. That was lovely to see. What else? we obviously do get quite a lot of the common characters at each of these different spots. And with it being this time of the day, 9:30 to 12:30, it's sort of late morning into the midday. So it's your general game that does come through, mainly to come down for a drink, and those rarer kind of predators, etc., more so in the hours of darkness. But we have seen wild dogs as well. We saw that, I think it was at Naledi Dam. That's in the Olifants West part of the Greater Kruger National Park. And obviously those big tuskers, I would say, is not a rare species, as it's Loxodonta africana as well. It's elephants, but very rare to see them with such big tusks. Not many of them left. I'm still racking my brains to think of any of the other rare animals, but if you've also been watching the show, please send it through. What's the rarest animal that you've seen on the show? Obviously, I haven't been on every single day. There's a number of naturalists that do narrate on the show. So I'm just thinking for me, but if you've seen something special with the other days that I haven't been on, please let me know. I had also at Juma in the Sabi Sands, we had a bateleur that was feeding on a Nile monitor lizard in the tree that had been hoisted by one of the leopards. I think it was by Maribs, the young male leopard that hoisted it in the tree, and then he had left it there, and there was a bateleur then feeding on it, which was also amazing. Also in Namibia at Okukuyo, there's lots of them there, but the black-faced impala, quite a special species, and only get them in that part of Namibia and a little bit into Angola as well. So, mouse, yes, you are quite right in saying that aardvarks and chameleons are rare. They're rarely seen because aardvarks are actually they're quite common but difficult to spot. Because if you go around in the bush, you'll see how many holes you find, and all these warthog burrows, and all the big holes that you see in the bush have been dug by the aardvark, and then the other animals use them. So they're literally the unsung heroes of the bush, and very prevalent, but very rarely seen. Chameleons as well, with their changing color nature, they blend in so well that it's very difficult to spot them. But the flap-necked chameleon is quite common in the parts of the Lowveld, and I think even right up here into Kenya. And then in Namibia, there's a very rare one. It's a terrestrial chameleon, and it's called the Namakwa chameleon. We haven't seen them on the show, obviously, but that's another rare species. See what he's busy with there. I've noticed that the elephants here, they like to drink from just around the edge of the waterhole. Now, I thought that maybe there's a little bit of the... Oh, that's it. You see, there's water bubbling out there. So they're getting it right from the source. And apologies, there's just a breakup in screen there, a little bit of freeze frame, so we'll try and get that picture back. But anyway, we have now gone to the cat eye pan. This is also in the Olifants west of the Greater Kruger National Park. And we've got a marsh terrapin, who's the king of his castle. Looks like he's preparing himself for a swan dive. Now, contrary to popular belief that the crocodile is the most ancient reptile, it's now been discovered that, in fact, it's the chelonians, or the shield reptiles, and that includes turtles, tortoises, and terrapins. We do distinguish between the three. Turtles, they're obviously marine dwellers, and they can't really retract their heads all the way back into their shell. And then tortoises are terrestrial, although sometimes they can be known to swim, particularly leopard tortoises. But they pull their heads straight back into their shell, and they can get right inside. And then a terrapin is aquatic, so more freshwater, and they defend their heads by pulling it to the side. And in so doing, sort of get it out the way, but they can't retract it in straight like a tortoise can. Now, terrapins are also carnivorous, and they will even hunt birds on the banks. I've seen them doing that at Okukuyu, hunting doves. And they're literally almost like a miniature crocodile. They grab it and pull it in under the water, and then they disappear. And then later you do see some feathers floating up onto the surface. So that's about it. So not quite sure in how they open it up and feed on it, but I think you probably find that a lot of them all come in together and start feeding on it at once, because there's often a lot of them wherever you do find them. But this one out, obviously trying to warm itself up, being ectothermic, taking its energy from outside sources.
Those sounds just go straight through you.
Cooksters, yes, it does indeed look like it's in some kind of an Olympic pose. It's getting ready to dive. That's what it looks like to me. And then I switched his pose. It looks like he's frozen mid motion. Now, they do say that where there's a high number of crocodiles, that you don't have many terrapins then, because they've got a relatively soft shell. And so they do then fall prey to crocodiles as well. But you will find terrapins where there are crocs. I think they're just not in as many numbers. Because where there are no crocodiles and you find terrapins, sometimes little ponds like this can be full of them. It would have been interesting to see how he got up there. That's what I would have liked to watch as he was clambering up, because they are quite clumsy, aren't terrapins? So just going to have a pan around and see what else is about. This is another low level camera, so it's nice that we do have different perspectives from all the different locations. Nice and low at Old Donyo as well. And then quite a few of the others, you sort of look down on the animals, so we get the full range. See, obviously, there's been quite a bit of elephant activity here, as you would expect. Lots of dung, balls. So it doesn't seem like there's too much activity around here, apart from our very skillful terrapin. He's on top of that mud mound, practicing his diving skills, although in slow motion. Right, so a little bit quiet here, not too much activity. So I think we'll switch off place and let's go to the Madikwe Game Reserve in the Northwest Province and Africam Tau. Where, as per usual, we've got lots of birding activity here. Looks like a yellow-billed stork there and a grey heron. And we've got some red-knobbed coots in the foreground. We've got the crocodiles lying there, nice big ones. Two. Oh, here come some baboons. One at least. You don't normally see them alone, so I'm sure there's more. Lots of impala there. Some blue wildebeest. Looks like warthogs off in the distance. And here come some more baboons. See them crossing the water. So what other birds can you see? Generally, we will see the little three-banded plover. We do see African spoonbills. It looks like that yellow-billed stork did nail something there, or tried to. See the spurwing goose, white-faced whistling ducks. Very good birding spot, this. Well, looks like the baboons are coming back. Let's see them recross the water here, and they'd obviously also be aware of these crocodiles. Oh, looks like they're breaking and entering. These baboons jumping over the fence. They're going to go cause nonsense there at the lodge. I hope the lodge realizes that they have intruders. we may see these baboons going in there, and for a period of time it might be quiet, and then suddenly they're all going to be coming running out again as they get chased out by the staff. Looks like that little baboon was being shown how to get over that fence by the adult. Lots of little ones coming here now. They're quite scared of the water. Look at that. I really hope that whether it's guests or staff haven't left any windows open, because if those baboons get in there, I tell you what, they're going to make an absolute mess. Wow, still more coming. So decent sized troop this. So Ryan, glad that you're liking the variety of animals here at Madikwe. It is wonderful, and especially at this waterhole, just the amount of birds is fantastic. And then obviously the other animals. This is the first time I've seen baboons here, but some of the other little animals that we see is also the ground squirrels. They're more. I think there's a den off in the gravel on the right hand side, and nice with the crocodiles as well, and then the impala and wildebeest, and we do get elephants here too. And I'm hoping at some stage we're going to see wild dogs here. That's what I'm waiting for. Couple of moor hens there. Looks like it went through a tunnel in the ground, but I think it's just from the elephant's footprints. And still more baboons. This looks like a male. Is he being quite careful, looking around for the crocodiles? They are very aware that there's danger here. No, this one decided to stop for a snack. I can sit and watch baboons all day, but only when they're not near my room or my vehicle or anywhere near the restaurant. Otherwise, they're fantastic sightings.
Do you love relaxing at a waterhole with the sights and sounds of Africa all around you? Well, we have some really exciting news for you. From August 1st, Africam is joining forces with WildEarth to bring the majesty of Africa right into your living room with 9 incredible new waterhole cameras from across South Africa and Kenya. Get ready to embark on a new journey. This is Live at the Waterhole.
Yeah, there's definitely a feeling of them having been chased away. I think my prediction was most likely correct. Right, so it sounds like in the background you can faintly hear pans being hit together. So it's obvious that the staff have picked up the baboons and chasing them off. If you know anything about baboons and lodges or in these wilderness areas, it's a nightmare if they get in there. So it's definitely worth your while to chase them off. So I think those baboons just went and chanced their arm to see if people weren't awake to their presence, and now they've been chased off. Looks like we've got those black-winged stilts there. That's another one of the resident birds that we get here. It's 2 of them. Very easy to distinguish. They got black wings, and it looks like they're on stilts. They're like reddish pink, pinky reddish legs, very long. And there's our spur-winged goose on the top left, the largest of all the geese that we have. So when I was living in the game reserve with my wife and my little boy, we had the monkeys that would come into and try and get into the house. So we trained our dogs to chase them. Never, well, they could never actually catch them, but we used to give them the call of "Where's the monkeys? Where's the monkeys?" And then they used to bark and run off and go looking for them. And then obviously because we had heard the monkeys land on the roof or whatever, so in so doing, it kept them from getting onto the ground anywhere near to our house. And still to this day, after about 8 years of not living in the game reserve, when I still say to my dogs, "Where's the monkeys?" they still run around and bark looking for monkeys, even though we're in more of an urban area now, not in the game reserve. But that old habit has remained, and that command they still remember. Lots of little birds coming in the background there, but I can't see enough detail to tell you exactly what they are. But they're flitting in and around, all coming in probably for a drink. Okay, so lovely time spent here, and nice to see those baboons come through, albeit leaving in a hurry as they've been chased out. But nice birding and lots of uh, good range of animals. For now, I think we'll change of place, but we'll continue on the birding theme. So let's go just outside of Kimberley in South Africa and Kamfersdam. Where the flamingos are still a little bit sparse. I think they must be spread out over the dam. Maybe what I'm thinking is that they doing a bit more feeding in anticipation of the breeding season that's coming up. That does require a lot of energy from them and investment of time as well, nest building and rearing of the young, etc. So maybe just this little period before is going to be invested in more feeding time. I'm not sure. That's just my theory. But a few days ago, there were literally, I think, thousands of them. And they seem to have split up, though, a little bit in the last couple of days. Lots of red-knobbed coots, though, as well. You don't often see so many of them in one spot. And as always, keep an eye out on the fringes and just next to the grass on the shoreline. You should see some pied avocets as well.
Do you remember the stars of Juma? Tandi, Hosanna, Darkmane, and many more will appear in our tribute. In honor of Animal Remembrance Month, join us as we look back at the characters that stole millions of hearts across the globe. Watch it live. Wild Earth. We are Safari.
That one there, I think, struggling to get to the bottom and where it wants to forage. So there's a bit of frantic kicking. So it's all bottoms up here with these lesser and greater flamingos all feeding, trying to get to the bottom, but it seems like it's a little bit too deep. So felt orca, interesting question you have. And if a bird wasn't able to vocalize, I think it would be easier if it was a female, because the males obviously need to vocalize, particularly in maintaining territories and attracting females, etc. So I think it would depend on the species and how much the vocalizations of a particular species it sort of affects its territory and all of that, and also mating, etc. So if you think of the likes of kingfishers, for instance, it's very important to be able to vocalize in establishing territory, and as I say, attracting females, but mainly for keeping other males away. The ones that call the most loudly and proficiently, they very easily then maintain their territory, and with that, it's decent territory, and then it's good to attract mates. So I don't think that the bird will die if it can't vocalize. How it's because it could still look after itself and feed itself, etc. But it won't do very well with its primary function, which is reproduction. So it would probably lead a lonely life as a result. But it all depends. I mean, if it was one of these flamingos, it's not going to be lonely. However, it probably wouldn't be able to attract mates, so it would have a little bit more difficulties, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. Right, here's a nice little check-in here at the Kamfersdam, Africam, just outside of Kimberley. But we'll see what happens a little bit later. For now, I think we'll head back to Kenya and Africam Oldonyo. Where we are not going to be disappointed. Once again, lots of elephants pulling in. The boys are back. This one here in the foreground still looks like that old bull that was there earlier with a floppy ear. But we've got a couple of new participants here on the right. I think there might be even more just standing off a bit further off. If we're not careful, I think this camera might be sprayed by mud. Oh, a bit of aggressive behavior here from this chap. Almost seeing those others on their way, but he needs to be careful. He doesn't seem like one of the bigger boys around. So quite a bit more drinking today, and also mud bathing and splashing of water around. I think it's all down to the increase in temperature that and the difference between yesterday and today. There does seem to be a little bit of an issue between these two. There's a bit of posturing and showing off. So France, yeah, that's a good question. And yes, absolutely. I've seen many fights between big bulls, and sometimes to the death. And the one such instance, I watched the fight went on for hours, and it was actually on a private reserve, and it was a younger bull that was challenging the old dominant bull, and he had been doing so for a number of years. But eventually, the older bull was getting a little bit weaker with age, and so the youngster then was, landed up in his prime, and he challenged him, and it was a fight to the death. And that youngster literally pierced him a few times through his abdomen and through the side of his body. He actually got him up against a tree once, and then sort of at the end, he was up against a slope. And eventually left him to die, and we actually got a vet in to just come and put him out of his misery. But in the wild, it happens a lot. where the bulls will fight for dominance, and it's particularly so when they come into must at the same time and they go in search of females, and then they will fight. And very often, if there's similar sized bulls, they can fight all the way, because one's not going to relent, and it can go to the death. So yes, they do pierce each other with those tusks, but it will be down to an almighty fight that you'll never forget if you witness it. You can see a bit of a rip in this one's ear on the right here. I think we've seen him a few times as well. Now that could have just been, a small little tear that maybe got moving through the bush and so on, and then as he's grown, it's just gone a little bit further. It's normally what it is as a result of, when they do get a little bit tattered on the ears. So just a reminder that this is a live and interactive experience. So we'd love for you to jump on board with us and send us through your questions and your comments. You can do that by going on the WildEarth website and registering. Quite a few butterflies just flitting around here in the foreground as well. You often find them on fresh elephant dung. It looks to be one of the white species. There's also yellow ones in there as well. And another giant. Oh, it's our floppy-eared individual. So he's obviously just turned around. Maybe had a chat with one of the other elephants and now coming past and back to the water.
Did you know that the WildEarth team makes weekly behind the safari content? Would you like to get to know the WildEarth family better? See how we live.
This is Eagle's bedroom.
Learn about our production process. And see the antics that happen off camera. Sign up to be an explorer and you will get access to all this content and more.
There's a couple of different species here, but there was that brown one and then those whites there in the background. Just getting the camera to focus. Now, there are a couple of different whites. I'm not sure. These might be the Margarita caper white, as they are found in Kenya and Tanzania. And they inhabit montane forests. The larvae feed on Capparis and Riccia species. So I'm not convinced, though. I do know that they are one of the whites. It's obvious that they do have the white with those little, darker fringes on the wings. I'm just trying to find the exact species. No, it is indeed the African common white. That's what is I've just confirmed. So it's not a brown veined, and it's not the Margarita caper. It's the African common white. A little bit of activity here. I was going to say from the Fringy and Oryx, looking like he wants to come in for a drink. So I thought maybe the elephants had pushed off a little bit, but obviously not. And I think this Oryx is rather thirsty. Just wants to move in, but still a bit nervous. So, Kat, that's a good question that you ask. If lots of bulls go into must at the same time, um, there's going to be lots of fighting. That is for sure. But it does help that they sort of do generally establish their hierarchy, not always when they're in must, just, through the passing days. And then it does help to avoid conflict. Obviously, if it's a higher ranked male, and he comes in and he's in must, the other bulls, aren't going to be pursuing the females because they generally only do that when they do come into must. So, because it's also a 2 to 3 week cycle, generally the elephants don't. It's sort of it happens at different times that they come into must, but obviously there are the times when they overlap. But that hierarchy is more or less maintained. And as soon as a dominant bull is pursuing a breeding herd that's in must, and a less dominant bull or a younger bull or a smaller bull comes into must and starts pursuing them as well, he's immediately going to come into conflict with that bull that's already with them. And also, if that bigger bull then enters into the area where the breeding herd is, and there's a younger bull, smaller bull, whatever, that's in must, he's gonna push him out or fight with him straight away as well. So that's where you generally have the injuries that come between the bulls, is when there's more than one of them in must pursuing a breeding herd, then they do end up fighting. And very often you have resulting injuries that can be life-threatening. Often it's a head-to-head battle, so tusks can be broken off, and a broken tusk, it's basically like knocking a tooth out. So it does hurt, and depends on how deep the break is. Sometimes it can even result in death because it can become infected if it's right up in the root where it's broken off, can become infected, and that bull can even die as a result. But either way, it's going to be really sore. So it normally backs off after that happens. I haven't seen bulls fight with one tusk being broken off and then continue fighting. The one with the broken tusk normally relents, gives up, and moves off. And so then the fight ends there. But it can go all the way to the death as well, where they'll actually kill each other.
Stay up to date with the latest happenings at WildEarth. Discover what goes on behind the scenes and get a weekly recap of the best moments on the channel.
He's got it! And he's straight up a tree!
Sign up to be an explorer and receive our newsletter written just for you and sent straight to your inbox every week. WildEarth Explorers, a club for people who are passionate about nature.
Thank you for joining us and have a fantastic morning.
So the meeting of these old boys continues here at Africam Old Donyo, with this Fringiate Oryx still not really getting its chance to come in for a drink just yet. It's like these eland might chance their arm, but they're also pretty nervous, as you would be around such giants. Now these little birds coming in, I'm pretty sure it's emerald spotted wood doves. You see, they're very clear emerald dots on their backs. If we get a clear view of one. It's difficult to see them. They really move very quickly. And you can see the brown and black under their wings. So increasing in numbers now. It's heading towards almost what we had yesterday. Just amazing. There we go. There you can just see when they turn, and you can see that emerald color to those dots on the backs. So Jane, well, as you can see now, this is a very good time to see elephants, obviously during the day, and the general plains game during the day. But at night, I tell you, there's every opportunity of seeing a range of predators. So it's good to check in on the Africam website and go through onto this waterhole and check in whenever you get a chance at night. You might see anything from leopard to lion, cheetah, genets, and all sorts of different little predators. So at night, it's obviously not as busy, but then you get those nocturnal species that will come through. I have to say that this is probably some of the best time spent here at Old Donyo, when you've got all these elephants and very often a lot of the zebra coming too. You can see now them increasing in numbers in the background there. But for the special animals and the predators, definitely during the hours of darkness. Righty, so the ever busy Old Donyo Africam location. It's been fantastic. I'm sure we'll pop back here at some stage with all of these bull elephants. But for now, let's head on over back to Madikwe in the Northwest Province and Africam Tower, where we've got another elephant that's come down for a drink and joining some big kudu bulls there off in the background. And of course, the founding member of the Ugly Five, the warthog. He's got a huge set of tusks on him. You think that elephant's a bit intimidated? That warthog's tusks is nearly bigger than his. There we can see this is a nice young bull elephant in comparison to all those older bulls that we have there in Kenya at Old Donyo, and just the size difference as well. Okay, so it seems elephants all round, and this has been lovely here at the Africam Tower. But let's change of place once again. Let's head back to the Greater Kruger National Park, and I think we're going to Naledi Dam. Where we've got a couple of ringneck doves just having a bit of a shower. This is wonderful. And the little pond that they have built, it's just overflowing. And now look at them, they seem to be wanting to get water in under their wings. Also soaking their chest area. Interesting little display there. You see the animals, they always make, opportunists, always make use of any kind of situation that arises, like this with the overflowing of this little pond. Now we've got the starlings pulling in as well. Cape glossy starling. Lady Macbeth, yeah, there has been a nice selection of birds. And seeing those little ringneck doves having a shower, that's, I like, when you see common animals but doing unique things, that's wonderful. And those Cape glossy starlings, obviously, we've had quite a good birding day today, seeing birds all round.
Chatting around a fire is an ancient practice that has connected humanity for centuries, and we want to keep it alive in our modern age. As an explorer, you'll have access to intimate gatherings with our naturalists, fascinating guests, and experts where we share knowledge, insights, and stories around a crackling fire. Rediscover the power of connection. Sign up to be an explorer today and experience the magic of WildEarth's Fireside Chats.
does look like the starling is wanting to go for a little bath, but it seems a bit nervous. Maybe he's found the spot that he was looking for. It seems like he had his bath and now off he flew. I wonder if that's all he wanted. Righty, so now that bathing and showering birds have disappeared, I think we'll return back to Africam Tower. Where the birding theme has continued once again. We've got our African ostrich, or the common ostrich, more desert adapted species, lost the ability of, or the ability to fly, no longer having hollow bones, a completely terrestrial bird, the largest in the world. You don't very often see ostriches drink. I've only seen it on a couple of occasions. So even here near to the waterhole, it's not necessary that the bird is actually going to go down to the water. I haven't seen them drinking here, so if it comes down, it will be a first here at Madikwe. But a truly desert adapted bird and animal species is the ostrich. They never need to actually drink water in their entire lives. They can survive with extracting the moisture from the food that they eat, and then they have a very reduced output of water in their feces and in their urine, so they literally maintain all the water that they take in, just about.
Discover the wonders of the wild with Safari Snaps, Africam's fun community game. While enjoying the live streams, simply tag the animal you spot. Each tag earns you points based on the rarity of the species. The rarer, the more points you score. Your profile and the Safari Snaps leaderboard will keep track of your impressive tagging skills. Join us on Safari Snaps and let's celebrate the wonders of African wildlife together.
Now, this is a nice mix of animals here with these baboons all foraging. Just like that one that was doing it previously. I think feeding on the bits of plants that are growing there just around the mud and on the edge of the water. All right, so lovely little stop here at Africam Town, but let's change of place once more and let's head to the Pilanesberg National Park and Kwa Maritime. Where it seems like we've got elephants all around. There's another elephant coming in for a drink here. And I truly believe that as we get into summer and the hotter months, we're just going to be getting more and more of this. So I think this is going to be the order of the day. And yeah, quite a few birds in the background. I think there's red-faced mouse birds. I also think I heard a chin-spot batis. That's the blacksmith lapwings making that call. Looks like they may have chased off a couple of hardy-dars, I think it was. Yeah, there's confirmation that it was a hardy-dar ibis, and I can also hear a grey go-away bird. No, and another elephant has arrived just in on the left there, going in for a mud bath. This is when it gets fun. He's really kicking up the mud there, so much so he's sprayed his mate. So Victoria, just while this elephant's now kicking up the mud again, yeah, absolutely. I think there probably are, well, I don't know if these ones in particular, these individuals, are the reason that this tree's fallen over, but definitely elephants in general, one of them may have pushed this over to get up to the leaves at the top. Sometimes they do it even just to, impress when they're in must. They take out their aggression. They're trying to sort of impress the females, etc. So it's not always to get to the leaves or the flowers or the roots that may be in the ground. Sometimes they're just doing it out of frustration and out of a little bit of display purposes. So whatever the reason was, yes, I think it's probably most likely to have been elephants that pushed this tree over. But I don't know if it was one of these two, as we didn't witness it. But being next to a waterhole, a lot of the trees that do surround them do fall foul to elephants pushing them over to feed on as well, because why would you go away from the water if you've got, food close by? So that's what they do. And we find at very often the old water holes, there's little to no trees that survive in the area around. It depends on how thick the bush is, obviously, but very often those ancient water holes where elephants have been going for hundreds of years, there's generally quite a big distance away from the water hole before you start getting trees because of them pushing them over. It looks like they might have a bit of wrestling now.
my name is Claire. WildEarth has been part of this home for many years as it connects us to the bush and the culture that we love and miss so much. I became an explorer so that other people around the world can get to experience the African bush in this unique way as well. I am beyond excited that I was drawn to win the prize at Ambakala Game Reserve for 3 nights. It is truly a dream come true.
Sign up today and you could be the one experiencing it for yourself.
No, I think there's actually more than just these 2 elephants here, because I can hear more water being thrown around. Yeah, there is indeed. You see here on the right, there's more, and I think there's lots more happening here than we know. And of course, always remembering that elephants, you know, when it does get hot like this, they really enjoy having a bath, and it's throwing the water in under their bellies, on their backs, behind the ears, on their sides, and then they'll go for a bit of dust bathing after that to seal in the cool. It's a bit of playtime now. They really do love the water. Judy, you're right on that assumption. This is exactly how Ellies enjoy themselves. This is just the start of it, because the hotter it gets, the more we're going to be seeing of this, and there'll be more swimming and frolicking, and they just absolutely love it.
We love all the support, we read all the comments, and now we want to acknowledge our biggest fans. Do you know when Ribbon was seen last? Or the names of June's cubs? Do you remember the last time we were up close and personal with an elephant? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you are in for a treat. WildEarth's Fan of the Month. We are looking for you. For more details, make sure to read our monthly mailer and keep an eye out on our social media pages. WildEarth, it's in your nature.
It looks like the elephant's playtime and spa session might be over. I think that might be all of them. There were 3 of them, and now they've all pushed off. And now that they have pushed off, I think we'll also push off and go back to the Greater Kruger National Park and Cat Eye. Where we've still got our friendly terrapin, but it looks like he's got a partner now. Is there 2 of them? Looks like it. Quite a big one and then a smaller one. Don't know if it's the same individual that we saw earlier. They're both still striking a pose, though. Yep, one big, one small. Both reaching for the stars. We haven't seen too much else here at Cat Eye today. The Africam spot here. Lovely perspective as well, similar to that of Old Donyo. But, well, the terrapins are keeping us entertained, even though they're not doing too much. Just being terrapins is all they need to do. They look like statues. Surely there must be a yoga pose called the terrapin. Ah, no, our friend on the king, or the king of his castle, he's still there. Looks like he's moved a little bit back, though, on his little perch. Let's just wait for the camera to focus. He's quite far on the zoom, and there's not too much light today. Looks like he's been joined by another one in the background there. Looks like a favorite spot. I'm still thinking of the cartoon character that these guys are reminding me of. It's either something from Finding Nemo or something like that, but there's a particular character that looks exactly like these terrapins with their heads going straight up. I think they're all struggling to warm up. It doesn't look too hot here. It's a bit overcast and windy, so that's why they're all out trying to sun themselves. A couple of little pond skaters on the surface of the water, just moving around as well. Well, Mr. H, you're very, very welcome. Thanks for joining us. And yeah, it's been an interesting show once again. And I think with you, Mr. H, with the UAE, I'm assuming that you're watching from the United Arab Emirates. And if so, wow, That's fantastic. So we hope you've all enjoyed this show. It's almost time for us to end. So don't forget that later on today it's the Sunset Safari from 2:30 p.m. and then tomorrow morning there will be the Sunrise Safari from 6:30 a.m. Then I'll be back here at 9:30 sharp until 12:30. So if you've enjoyed today, well, we hope to see you again tomorrow. So, and as thanks been given, I also say thanks, of course, to the wildlife. Without them, there wouldn't be a show. And the whole WildEarth team, as well as Africam, because they're the ones that have set up all these wonderful locations with these different remote cameras. And of course, to the whole technical team, directors, producers, everybody. There's so much that goes into producing these shows that we do need to thank everybody involved. We do the easy part as the naturalists. We just talk nonsense behind the camera. So, yes, indeed. Thanks to everybody. And most importantly, to the wildlife. So rounding up, and we now are going to be ending. That's it from me for now, folks. My name's Ralph Kirsten. See you again tomorrow. Cheers.